Hey guys, morning. Welcome back to the channel once again. Kenroy here. Now today I'm just going to be giving you guys a quick tour around the garden. There's so many things that need to be done. I've been super busy inside the house and now I'm trying to make some time to spend some time outdoor in the garden. Now one thing that I found is that having a balance between gardening and doing your house chores, all of the DIY projects can sometimes be quite tricky, and so you've got to prioritize things. Obviously the plants are living organisms and they need your undivided attention, but you also need to do things in the house like, fixing a faulty toilet or making sure that the silicone is replaced around the shower, or painting a room, decorating your kid's bedroom, for example. And so things get pretty hectic. But I also like to make time to come outside, make sure all the plants are watered, make sure that the pests aren't getting too boisterous in the garden. The caterpillars are out in full swing at the moment. The slugs and the snails, they love to demolish all of your leafy greens. And so it's a balance to be formed. So today I'm just going to be taking you on a brief tour around the garden. I'm not really sure how we're going to do it today because I do need to harvest some of our crops. We've got some dwarfed white beans that need harvesting from like a week and a half ago, or even longer actually. Runner beans are in full swing, so those need to be harvested. We might have some courgettes as well. I need to check those out because all it takes is a day or two for you not to have gone to the garden and things just get out of control. So come along as I take you guys through. Our garden. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do a very long video. I'm not sure if those do particularly well on YouTube. I think sometimes they're okay, but also the shorter content seems to be much more appreciated. So I may well have to divide this into a couple of different videos because whenever I start talking, time just seems to go. But I'm going to start here in the courtyard. Just looking at some of the plants that we've got here. We've got some of our aeonium, which we cut a few months ago, maybe about 2 months ago actually. And I actually cut my aeonium plant, which was inside, and divided it into loads of smaller plants. And we've been selling a few of these. We've got a few of them on our Etsy store as well. I've been putting them on Facebook Marketplace for people who are interested, and I've sold a few, but I still got some left. Obviously I'll keep some for myself as well so we can have a plant for the future. But look at this, guys. How cool is this? This aeonium plant is literally got multiple heads. Now I can't take credit for this. It was kind of like this when I cut it from the mother plant, but to me it looks absolutely gorgeous with all the multifaceted heads, and they've literally just been outdoors, just enjoying life. But this one is by far the largest ones. Look how big these petals are, absolutely humongous. And I've done nothing special to these. Literally I chopped them, put them in some compost, and literally left them outdoors, and yeah, suffice to say they're doing really well. This also was an indoor spider plant that I've sort of placed outside, and it's thriving. It's even sending out its sort of little runners that it does this time of the year. So yeah, all things considered, these plants here by our water tap is doing really well. They get all the splashes, so they keep hydrated. Now this guy, I almost lost this plant. Now this is a yucca plant that I actually got from my mom's house back in London years ago, and it was only a tiny cutting that I took from the mother plant in London. And I don't know what I was thinking. I placed it outside. It was here, it was fine, it was sheltered, as it's normally indoors all year round. But I decided to try putting it out in the summer, and then for some reason I was possessed and I moved it to the main garden on a sunny day, and I forgot about it, and the sun came out with a vengeance, and I literally almost lost my beloved plant. I mean, look at this. It got so burnt. It went a very grey colour. All the green seemed to have been zapped from it, and a lot of the leaves were damaged. But I've moved it back, and as you can see, this is what I love about plants. They do forget. They're not like us that remember everything. And so this yucca plant, although I did something really naughty to it, it has forgiven me, I think, and it's starting to repair itself. Oh, there's a little spider there. Hello, sorry to disturb you. And you can see it's got new leaves coming out, so I think there's a lesson there about plants and how forgiving they can be, and they don't hold anything against us. So look after your plants, guys. So above it I've got my what's this? This is just a hanging pot that I made myself using an old plant pot, and I've basically filled it with compost, drilled a few holes in there. I got some electrical wire and literally just threaded it through around the rim, and I used it to plant some of my flowers. These African marigolds are really gorgeous. I must say they don't seem to be loving it in this location at the minute, so I need to move these, but I haven't got any more hanging brackets up, so I've just been sort of piggybacking off this one at the top, which has been absolutely gorgeous. I bought these flowers when they were tiny early in the season, and now they're doing amazing. I do need to water this, and yeah, but that's our immediate courtyard area, just in front of me here. When we're normally in the kitchen, and when we look out through the kitchen window, this is what we normally see. Our red rose is now died back, but it's got some beautiful shoots coming up. But this was absolutely gorgeous for a number of weeks, and now that that's finished, we got our, and now this is perhaps one of my favorite rose here. This is a yellow rose, but it also have this pink, I mean, I don't even know what's going on here. Is it yellow or is it pink? Yellow or is it pink? Who knows? But it's got this gorgeous cluster here, which we're really enjoying. It looks really nice actually, and it's actually fragrant. So not all roses these days have got a fragrance, so highly recommend those ones. And I'm just looking here at what seems to be a broken branch. I'm not sure what's gone on there, but this one snapped off. But I may well try to propagate that. I've got these little propagation pods, which I've been trying to use. I should have done a video on it, but I still haven't gotten around to it. So maybe if I can get it attached there, I might be able to get some roots coming from that, because I would very much love to propagate this rose, guys. It's amazing. Our fruit trees aren't saying much at the moment. Got some blueberries here, but again, they weren't very good this year, guys. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first time this little guy has flowered and actually fruited somewhat, so happy days. Fruit trees are just here chilling, enjoying life. Do need to come back and water them. But what I'm excited about, guys, is these onions that we've got in here. Look at this. Oh man, I didn't think that they were going to come to much, because I planted them so densely. I thought, there's not going to be enough root space for them to swell and to get big. But I mean, these are some decent sizes, right? I mean, this one's ready to be pulled. Shall I pull it? Yeah, go on then. I'm literally just waiting for them to be all to be ready, and then I'm just going to harvest a lot. Yeah, that's not a bad size. I mean, I'm not even sure what variety these are, but they're really good. My neighbor gave me these onions, and I just threw them in here because I had no space for them. Let's have a look to see. So these ones, I think, as they call Stuttgart. Can't even read my own writing. But yeah, onions, guys, nice and firm. Absolutely amazing. So our little raised box is holding up well, despite the fact that I've not been able to grow brassicas in it as I had hoped. And that's another story, guys. Growing brassicas here with these white caterpillars, white butterflies that, you know, lay their eggs and they turn into caterpillars. It's just so annoying, honestly. But yeah, it's the life of a gardener. So over in this section here, guys, we've got our gooseberry bush, which we've finally harvested. Honestly, I've left it so long that they literally started to rot on the bush. They started to fall off. If you look underneath, about a third of our gooseberries actually fell before we harvested them. I don't know what I was thinking. I suppose I've been so busy with other projects that I've just not had the time to come out and harvest these beauties. We've still got a few left on the vine, and trust me, I like to leave mine to be well ripened, because then they get super sweet. Let's pick a couple, see what they taste like. Now, these are so easy to grow, guys. I've got some of the plants that I've been propagating, and definitely need to put these on my Etsy store. I'll show you what they look like. They're just over here, and as you can see, I've just harvested 2 yesterday from this branch here that was hanging off, and they're looking really healthy, really strong. They're ready to start fruiting, so by next year all of these will have fruit on them again. So I need to get them on my Etsy store. For those of you who would like to buy one and support us, we'd much appreciate it. So this is what you'll end up with, guys. A nice, sweet, juicy berry. And honestly, when you leave them to ripen like this, let me have a taste. So sweet. Gooseberries typically have a sour skin on the exterior, but when you allow them to fully ripen, you'd be amazed with just how sweet they are. Even the skin is only a little bit sour, so yeah, amazing. So sweet. So next to my gooseberry bush, I've got some sweet corn. Got 4 ears of sweet corn, 5 just planted here just because there was a little bit of space, so I had to utilize it, and they're looking really, really healthy, really, really firm looking, and I'm hoping that they will grow up and and do pretty well. I've got some form of beans here now. I think this might be runner beans. No, I think these might be either dwarf beans or red kidney beans, and I really didn't have the time to label them, and I totally forgot, shall I say. That's another gooseberry there. Sorry about that, guys. And so, yeah, I thought, let me just try and get some of these beans in the ground. And you never know, there might actually be some success. A couple more over here. And yeah, and this moves me on nicely to our courgette plants. Now, I tried growing a different variety this year called the Roundini. And it's been a mixed bag. Very, very plentiful in terms of its growth. I assume it's been pollinated because, these flowers are always being visited by the bees. However, I found that quite a few of them sort of rotted on the actual plant. And I'm not sure what's going on there. I normally grow courgette in this area, and I'm thinking next year I'm going to give this area a bit of a rest because maybe the soil has been slightly depleted in some of its nutrients. I need to sort of top it back up. But we definitely have some roundinis here. Sadly, a lot of them are falling off for whatever reason. I've tried putting some fertilizer in there, homemade fertilizer with some potassium, but yeah, I'm going to leave it for a few more weeks to see whether or not it's going to bounce back. But that's what's been happening, sadly. But I'm not sure. If you've got any tips on why that could be happening, do let me know, guys. And just behind it here, we've got, and this is what I know that we definitely have pollinators going in there, because as you can see, there's a great big bee in this one, literally going to town. And these are our normal green courgettes. Now, this has been having similar issues, which leads me to believe that it might be a soil deficiency issue because they're fruiting like crazy, and they're definitely being visited by pollinators. And you can see some fruit at the back there. In fact, good news, guys, we've got one that we can actually harvest. So happy days for that. Let's have a look at that. Oh, that's nice. It's a very, very handsome courgette, if I do say so myself. Yeah, these are fantastic in stews. You can actually sort of eat them raw in salads as well, if you're feeling adventurous. And it's best to pick them when they're nice and tender like this before they get too woody. But the plant is looking absolutely amazing. But yeah, not sure why they're not staying on the plant as much as they should. But never mind. Then again, another issue could be water. Totally forgot about that because it's been really, really dry, and keeping these plants watered can be a bit of a challenge. And in the back, we've got a pumpkin plant which is planted over there. We've got some tomatoes as well. Don't even ask me what variety they are, but they're definitely fruiting, and there's another one there. So very dense, very crowded in this little raised box. But nevertheless, guys, we're having success. And the last thing I want to show you in the courtyard here is these, which are our pumpkins. Now, let the camera focus for a little bit. Now, this pumpkin here was pollinated by yours truly. We've been having a bit of an issue with pumpkin pollination because they've literally been turning yellow and falling off. Now, this one, it seemed like it's staying. I'm not even going to touch it. Hopefully it will stay the course. But I just realized I've missed one there. I'm not sure when that opened up, but I'm hoping that it was pollinated and it will stay on. I may have pollinated this one as well. So yeah, time will tell. So we've got 3 pumpkin in the space of a meter, guys. But sadly, the builders came around and doing my neighbor's windows, and they actually came and trod on my precious pumpkin vine. If you look there, you can see that it got literally severed, and at the tip here, and at the tip here as well. So not sure what's going to happen, whether or not she's going to send out another shoot from here, but yeah, just letting nature take its course, guys. And apart from my herb section over here, where I've got a few beetroot and a tomato bush, that's about it in the courtyard for foods that we're growing. So let's move around, guys, into our path. I always like to say our garden alley. So this section here is the path that leads up to our garden, and we actually grow stuff here as well. You can see I'm prepared today. I've actually got my containers because we're gonna be doing some harvesting. Not a bad start, but there's more to be harvested, guys. Now, when we bought this place back in 2019, guys, it was a bit of a wasteland. Everywhere that you can see here was just concrete, rubble and weeds, leading up to a very unorthodox cottage garden there. And when we went in there, it was just absolutely derelict. It was such a state. I'll put a link to the video down below for those of you who are new, and it basically shows how we were able to renovate our garden on a budget. You know, we were, fresh off buying our property. We had no money really, and so we had to landscape this whole garden on our own. Now, it took us a bit of time to actually get to this stage where we're nice and comfortable. I recently done this walkway here with this gravel, made a little box there for some flowers to grow. We've actually got some sunflower and various other plants growing in here, and yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. And so it took us a long time. I say this to say, guys, that everything takes time, and you really just got to, give yourself a chance, build bit by bit, day by day, and no doubt you'll get to where you want to get to sooner rather than later. And now we're at a place where our garden is thriving, doing really well, and yeah, it all takes a lot of work. So back to Garden Alley, which is the best name I've got at the moment. We've got, firstly, as soon as we come through the gate, our runner beans, and this has been a tried and tested crop which we also sell on our Etsy store, guys. Get yourself some beans. It might be too late to plant them now, however, if you keep them for next year, they will certainly be ready to go into the ground. And these runner beans are prolific. You got to pick them when they're like this, just before they start forming those big gorgeous beans on the inside. You got to snap them off, and when you do this, actually it helps the plants to grow even more beans, and so you're actually doing the plant a favor. Now, the only problem I've found with runner beans is that this thing is so great at producing that you've got to have mouths to eat it. So it's not for the faint of heart. Typically a family of 4 only needs around maybe 4 seeds, shall I say 4 plants rather, and you just wrap it around the trellis like this. I just use some bamboo cane, and as you can see, you get a lot of production. And if I harvest today, within a day or two, there will be more on there as the season go on, and they go all the way down to late summer, so you definitely won't be disappointed. And another thing why I love about them is the pollinators. The bees especially love the flowers on these runner beans. So yeah, guys, get this in your garden, get it in and amongst the rest of your crop, and you will not be disappointed. You can also leave the beans on the plant, and if you do so, they'll get absolutely ginormous, and you leave them towards the end of the season to save them for yourself, or to actually let them dry out in their pods, and then you can store the beans to cook at a later date. So yeah, there's a lot of good advantages of growing runner beans, guys, and like I said, I grow them every year. We've also got another sunflower plant here, which is looking really healthy. The flower has not yet opened up, but I suspect it won't be long. And just below it, we've got a pumpkin that I've stuck here by this trellis. Now, I did try to pollinate that one, so again, let's hope that it won't fall off. And this was an old bed frame from my daughter's cot bed that we've used here for it to climb up, and it's actually gone behind, and I can see another little pumpkin there. So it's gone all the way to the top. That's around 5 foot in height. So, and there's shoots coming from every angle here, so it seems to be pretty happy. And the green foliage really just makes the place look really cool. Now, just below that is something that I desperately need to harvest, guys, and these are some dwarf white beans. So guys, I'm finally harvesting my dwarf white beans. They've been long overdue. Look at these guys, they're like, please just pick me. So I'm going to be doing that today. I've never actually grown these before, and as you can see, they've done pretty well after surviving the onslaught from the slugs. And so I'm just going to be harvesting these gorgeous beans now, because yeah, there's more flowers coming on the plants, and if I pick the beans, you never know, you might actually get more beans. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing now. So this is how much of those wild dwarf beans we've harvested, guys, and we've also got some runner beans, but there's still more runner beans to be harvested in the main garden, so let's keep going. So for the rest of the section in the garden, guys, we've got some tomato bushes that need some TLC. I planted these out and sort of just set it and left it, and there's fruit coming on these plants now, but I do need to tie them up. I've got some brackets which I attached last year above. These are some aluminium frames which I spray painted in black. I've placed some holes just in the top here, where we can put some string through and actually tie these tomato vines upright. That is the idea, but as you can see, I've neglected to do that, and so I desperately need to get that done. I did try to sow some callaloo in this section here, but I don't think it particularly liked it because they went to seed pretty quickly. But I mean, some of this could still be harvested. I could definitely use some of the leaves. We've got some callaloo to harvest today, funnily enough, so let's keep going in the garden, guys. Just at the end here, we've got a pumpkin. Again, I have tried to self-pollinate them, but the space is a bit of a limitation in this section, if I'm being honest. But I just had so many pumpkins sown. Again, we've got the seeds on our Etsy store, and this is proof that they do grow very vigorously, actually. The Crown Prince variety, and I've also got a green variety which I'm trying out for the first time this year. So not those orange horrible pumpkins that don't taste nice. These ones, chef's kiss. They are absolutely amazing, nice and dry, nice and sweet, great for roasting, baking, putting in stews. They're just amazing. And so yeah, this is our vegetable alley, guys. So I need to tidy it up a little bit, but so far so good. Okay guys, so we're now in the main garden, and this is where some of the magic happens. And I'm just over here by my veggie raised bed, and I'm looking at the runner bean plant, and this is one of the things as well that I love about gardening. Yes, it's great to grow your own food. Yes, you get nice organic tasty food, and then you know the origins of that food, which is amazing. But also, nobody really talks about the aesthetics. I mean, it's so pleasing to the eye to see all of this natural green, especially because you are the person that is in charge of the the stewardship of that crop, and it's just amazing. So now where my veggie raised bed for most of the year has just looked barren, bare, nothing but a few bamboo canes sticking out of it, and then comes the summer and I'm just looking at it and it's laden with greenery, vines trailing everywhere. We've got blossoms that are just attracting the pollinators that our ecosystems need to survive. And the best thing is you can then go and harvest some natural organic vegetables from it, which is just perfect really. So that's what we're going to do. Now I can hear all the pollinators just buzzing in the canopy of our Vegica raised bed. This thing is pretty tall, guys. We were sponsored a couple of years ago by Vegica, and they've got some really amazing raised beds. I really highly recommend these metal ones. They sent us a couple to give away as well, so shout out to those subscribers who won those. I hope you've been able to utilize them as I have, and yeah, it's still holding up strong. It's really in a nice focal point sort of in the this section of our garden. And so what we're going to be doing today is harvesting these runner beans, which again guys, these things grow so fast, it's unreal. And yeah, we just have to just harvest them every day, because I literally harvested some 2 days ago, and already we've got, I mean, it's just so many. Bearing in mind I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around 6 plants in this bed, and look at them, they're just taking over the whole place. If I had another 10 foot, this thing would climb it and continue to fruit. But I'm not complaining. Like I said, it's a gorgeous sight to behold. And the thing with runner beans are, there's always 1 or 2 of them that's hidden, so you've got to make sure that you search in order to find them. So just like before, just gonna harvest these and then move on to the next crop. But doesn't this look amazing? So speaking of pollinators, guys, one of the things that I tend to do is leave last year's crops where possible to flower, because then what happens is you get the pollinators, especially the bees, coming to collect whatever it is that they're after, and you get this beautiful display. This is an onion that was left from last year, and it literally grew and flowered. And yeah, not only do we get this beautiful flower, but we also get the pollinators doing their thing. So I can't stress enough the importance of allowing flowers to grow in your garden, because it's just great for our planet. Okay guys, so here we are, what we've harvested so far, our runner beans. I mean, honestly, it's what I'm talking about. I've harvested these 2 days ago, and look at them, how much we've been able to harvest again. So a word to the wise, if you're going to be buying our runner beans from our Etsy store, shameless plug, you will need to have extra mouths in order to eat all of these beans, because trust me when I say it is quite prolific. But if you're new to gardening, it's a great vegetable to grow. It helps to boost your confidence, and yeah, you don't need a lot of space literally to grow them, especially because they grow vertically. So get yourself some runner beans, guys. So I might as well show you just below. We've got some tomato bushes, again trying to utilize the space. Some tomato plants underneath that needs tying up as well. They're starting to flower and fruit, which is great. But what I wanted to show you guys is hidden behind these runner beans, not branch, tendrils, I don't know what you call them, but I actually stuck a cucumber plant in this raised bed. Now I've had a mixed relationship with cucumbers, because I've grown them in the past with success, but I've also grown them where I've somehow chosen a variety that was bitter. Oh gosh, these things are everywhere. And the variety that I grew was bitter. I think it might have been a pickle variety. Now I'm looking at these guys here, guys, and I'm getting a bit of anxiety and sort of like deja vu. I'm really hoping that these aren't those horrible bitter ones that we bought and planted one year. They grew absolutely huge, but they were so bitter. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it before. But the plant's doing well. There's fruit on there, so within a week or 2 we'll be able to harvest some. If you look here, let me try and get these things out the way. If you look here, you can see our cucumber, guys. How cute is that? Right? And if you think this one is doing good, I'm going to take you to our greenhouse once I've freed myself from those runner beans. And in the greenhouse, guys, wow, I have a cucumber plant, which you can probably see already, and this guy is going gangbusters. And one of the reasons why I didn't completely pave our greenhouse floor, I only did a section in the middle for me to work from, and I left the sides open for us to grow directly in the soil. It's because when you got limited growing space, it's good to basically maximize as much as you can. And the greenhouse, things just grow like rapidly in here. And I'll start in this section here, which is our cucumber plant. I made this rudimentary trellis with some bamboo cane, and it's very apparent to me that is not going to be enough because this thing, the leaves are bigger, it's got loads more sort of branches coming off of it, and even the tendrils that come off look more boisterous. I mean, this thing looks like it could bench press around 100 kilos. Honestly, they're so strong. But the flowers look really pretty as well, which I've never really noticed before. And as you can see, it's also got cucumbers in. They were both planted at the same time, but this one is much taller, definitely more fruit on there. And at this point, I'm literally just trailing it, you know, over itself as much as I can in order to get it to fruit and actually have some space. So definitely need to rethink some form of trellis in the greenhouse where these you know, vegetables can grow for the future, because it clearly loves it in here. However, the trellis is a bit suspect. Over here we've got the same thing, but this time we've got a melon. Now I'm quietly optimistic about this. I've tried growing melons before in the past with no success, and I think one of the problem is I normally start too late with sowing some of these things. I've now realized that you've got to be sowing this from like January indoors with some heat, so that it can start maturing, ready, waiting for the sun to come out, and then you transplant it out. Because I bought this one from the store and it was a lot larger than my one over here. Now this is one that I grew from seed, which I'm still pretty chuffed about, but I mean, what's going on? This is like a baby melon compared to that. It's finally growing now. It's looking a bit anemic, but it's growing. It's got tendrils latching on there. It's got his little trellis over here, so you're gonna do fine, I'm sure. But I've really got high hopes for this guy over here compared to my one, where it's literally just absolutely humongous. Now the only challenge is trying to get the fruit to actually stay on the vine. I can see the fruits popping up, but I feel like it's too hot in here, guys, because if you look, the blossoms seem to just be drying and falling off, which I wasn't aware of. That's going to actually be I wasn't actually aware that that was going to be an issue, but clearly we've got some troubles there. I also have another one which I planted in the back here, and I mean, look how pathetic that looks, guys. But nevertheless, they're growing. I've also got a eggplant here, which I totally forgot about actually. Yeah, I probably should get that in the ground, maybe between these two guys. But everything is just getting boisterous here. I had another eggplant in this pot, and as you can see, volunteer callalus are doing their thing, which I'm going to be harvesting. Look how fat and juicy these callalus are, guys. I'm going to be harvesting these today because yeah, they're getting really big and they're starting to go to seed, which I don't want, and hopefully we can get some more growing. I did plant some Swiss chard in here, but they're absolutely being demolished by slugs, no doubt. You can see all the holes in the leaves. It's just relentless. I'm trying to grow leafy greens. I've all but given up on them because of the slug. I mean, look at that. Looks like it's been peppered with a machine gun, the amount of holes that are in these leaves. So they're just starting to grow now, finally. These ones are beetroot. I've given up on those. And these Swiss chards, lovely leaves. I could probably harvest just that one leaf. In the back there we've got some tomatoes, and I think these are those plum tomatoes, or the San Marzano actually, and they're growing really good. But if you look in the back, really zoom into the back there, you can see our resident spider. I haven't given him a name, but look at the size of that boy. Oh, man, it's huge. So yeah, we got tomatoes on the vine, and these ones actually a pretty decent size, and before long we'll be able to harvest some of those, so I'm super excited. And on this plant, there's a second plant here. Can't quite remember what variety this is, but it's also fruiting. But as always, growing tomato plants in the greenhouse gives me a bit of an issue. They get so big so fast that it's unbelievable. I need to get a nice sturdy bamboo stake to try and stake this one, because the little one that I had is actually like, it's outgrown it already. And yeah, it's just, growing tomatoes in the greenhouse is fantastic, guys, especially when you grow them in the ground. But yeah, they just get so big. You've got to stay on top of them. The side shoots, the offshoots, it's just so many. So what I will have to do, once this gets a certain height to the top of the greenhouse, I'm just going to have to just top it off and cut the top off and just try to stunt the growth. But it is what it is. Up here we've got our cocoa, our Tora, I think they pronounce it. And these we actually grew last year, and there was one in this pot, and I had another one in this pot down here which has an artichoke, but we'll come back to that in a bit. And unfortunately the winter, well, the colder months came around and they didn't have enough time to fruit. I did dig them up and found that they started producing little tubers in the soil, which is how they grow. But yeah, the growing season just wasn't long enough. So my plan is this year, because as you can see, there was enough in there left over from last winter, and they've actually now got 4 plants in there, which is pretty cool. And my hope is at the end of the growing season to try and bring this indoors and somehow try to overwinter it indoors, because if I can actually keep this alive indoors, bring it out next spring for example, I think we might have a chance of growing some tubers and getting some cocoa off of this plant. But really gorgeous. I love the leaves. You can actually cook with the leaves as well, but yeah, it's looking really healthy. And just down below, like I mentioned, we've got our artichoke. This is the green globe variety. This I just bought from this I actually just bought from the nursery. It's grown for sure. We've put on some new leaves in the time. I'm keeping it in this container now. This is a perennial if, you know, grown properly and gets established. But then again, I haven't got space for it because it grows into a giant bush. And yeah, we love artichokes, and it is my goal to eventually have a space for one of these plants outdoors. So this is a bit of an experiment, trying to grow it in a container. So I'll keep you guys updated on how that's going. And I suppose last but not least in the greenhouse is, well, we've got some more eggplants over here, which this one's doing pretty good, and so is this, to be fair. But we've got sweet potatoes, guys. Now this is some purple variety, and I actually just bought this from the store again, just to save time, because trying to get these guys to chit and to grow the slips, you got to start early in the year, and I certainly didn't. So I just saw this in the shop. It was a bit expensive, but I just picked up a little slip, planted it, and it's been flowering like crazy, so it's clearly very happy. Hello, little guy. And it's trailing. I'm just going to use this whole section here. I'm trying to get it to trail and to spread out and to cover it as it goes along, to form new roots and new opportunities for tubers to grow. So wherever it goes, I simply just try to bury it under some soil. Hopefully it will send out roots, and with any luck in the heat in the greenhouse, it might do a lot better than it did on the outside. Keeping it watered is key in the greenhouse, of course. But yeah, we're growing sweet potato, guys. How cool is that? So I'll keep you updated on how this purple variety goes. But yeah, that's it for the greenhouse. Okay guys, for those of you who have stuck around to the end, first of all, let me say a huge thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. The sun is just starting to heat up, so I'm glad I came out and filmed this earlier in the morning, because we've been forecast to have some really hot days this week. And yeah, this is our garden. Things are growing, things are looking really good, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to harvest plenty from our little patch. As you can see, it's not the hugest garden in the world, but we make do and grow the things that we're able to grow. And I hope that this would have inspired you to give it a go. It's relatively simple. All you need is space, a bit of time, and just take it from there, guys. And before long, you'll be able to grow crops just like I'm doing, whether it's some beans, whether it's some squashes, you name it, you can grow it. So hope that this video has been useful for you. Anyway, this is Kenroy signing off. I've got some callaloo that need harvesting. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.